Welcome to the fourth part of our Tinkercad egg puzzle demo. So we're making a toy consisting of several eggs, each inside the next one. And the last layer that we made was this here. So this was a piece consisting of two halves that are connected by a hinge. So the next egg that we make will have to fit inside. The next layer is going to be again an eggshell, and this time we're going to cut it open diagonally. So let me take these egg pieces and make them transparent. Now if you look here carefully, you see that the available space from here to here, we measured that last time, it was 60 millimeters, but here from top to bottom we don't have 60 millimeters because the hinge actually takes up a little bit of extra space. So the next egg that's going to go inside here is not going to be quite round. We're going to use 56 for the width from here to here, and we're going to use 52 from here to here. So let's bring the next egg in. And we're going to make the width 56 and the depth 52 millimeters. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit oval. And inside this egg, we want to fit a hole. And the hole, we're going to take 44 by 44. So we want the whole inside to be round, even though the egg is not exactly round. And the reason for this is that the next layer of the puzzle is going to be, again, round, the one that goes inside this hole. Oh, we also need to adjust the height of these two pieces. So we're going to use 76 for the height of the outer egg, and we're going to use 68 for the height of the hole. Now, so cutting it open diagonally will not be very difficult. But we also want, where the cut is, we want there to be a slight lip to make sure that the pieces don't slide off each other. And making this lip is actually a little bit complicated. So we will actually need 4 concentric eggs instead of just these 2. So let me move this out of the way and bring 2 other eggs in. So we had 56 by 52 for this egg. Then for the next layer here, we're going to use 51.5 by 49. And for this egg here, we're going to use 48.5 by 47. Okay, so each of these eggs is just slightly smaller than the previous one. And we will adjust the heights also. For the height of this egg, we're going to choose 73. And for the height of this egg, we're going to choose 71. So now I can take all of these eggs. First of all, let's make them all transparent so we can see. We're going to use this this align tool here to align all the eggs one inside the other. I'm going to align them vertically also. Let me take all the pieces and move them over here to center them on one of these pairs of grid lines here. So the next step is we're going to want to cut this egg diagonally into 2 halves. So in order to cut it, I'm going to construct a stencil, a pair of stencils actually. And from our basic shapes, I'm going to bring in 2 wedges. The first wedge, I'm going to take this wedge, actually I'm going to rotate it first by 90 degrees. So now it looks like this from the front. And then I will take this little wedge and resize it. I'm going to hold the shift key down so that all 3 dimensions will resize at the same time to 100 by 100. And I'll also make it transparent so we can see the front view here. And I'm going to bring it down a bit to somewhere approximately where I want the actual cut to be later. So I moved it down by 15 millimeters. Okay. And we're going to make also another matching piece. I'll bring another wedge in and turn that also by 90 degrees. And this matching piece is going to, actually I want this to be the other way around. So let me turn it over this way. I'm also going to take this piece and flip it. So there's a flip tool here. I'm going to flip it vertically so that it's sort of the complement of this first one here. And I see I'm in the back view now for some reason. Let's go to front view. And now I will also resize this piece. Again, hold down the shift key and resize this also to 100 by 100. And I'll make it transparent at the same time. So now I can move it over to the same location where the first one is. So in top view, that's a bit easier to see. Move it over here. Then I'm also going to adjust its vertical position. Now I don't want these pieces to touch exactly, so I'm not going to bring it down to -15 here, but let's say I'll bring it maybe 4 units higher. So there's a slight gap between these two pieces here. And finally, I will also bring in a box. Might as well make it transparent. And I want this box to be slightly smaller than the various wedges that I've made. And I want the box to also contain the egg, so I'll make it just a little bit higher, and then I'll bring it down a bit so that it sits basically between my two wedges and the egg. Okay, so now I have 7 pieces, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to work with them, to select them all at the correct times. So there are 4 concentric egg pieces here, and then there's an upper wedge, a lower wedge, and then my box. So in order to be able to work with these pieces and select them more easily, I will use a trick, which is I'm going to tag the pieces with letters. So let me bring some letters in. A, B, C, and D are going to be the names of these 4 concentric egg pieces. Then E will be the name of the upper wedge, F will be the name of the lower wedge, and G will be the name of the box. So if I select all of these letters now, I'm going to go to side view briefly, and I will rotate them by 90 degrees so that I can actually see the letters in the front view, and I will bring them up also a little bit. So from front view now we have the letters nicely aligned next to all of my pieces here. And now I'm going to go ahead and group each of the pieces with the letter that it corresponds to. First I'm going to make the letters transparent. So the upper wedge is going to go with the letter E. So I group them, and then let me just hide them. This box is going to go with the letter G. So I shift click again to select 2 pieces, and then I group them and I hide. The lower wedge will go with the letter F, group, hide. The innermost egg will go with the letter D, group, hide. The second innermost leg will go with the letter C, group, hide. The next egg will be called B, group, hide. And finally this outer egg will be called A, group. And now I can unhide everything. And this now allows me to select the pieces more easily. For example, I could select C and G or F. So I can just select each of the pieces by clicking on these letters. I just have to be careful later to remove the letters at the right time when I no longer want them. So the next thing we have to do is create the actual pieces. So let me zoom in a bit here so we can actually see how that's going to work. So the actual eggshell will be bounded by the outer and the inner layer here, so layers A and D. And then when we come to the actual cut here, I want there to be a lip. So I want the shape to be like this, and then like this, and then like this, and like this for the upper piece. And I want the shape of the lower piece to be like this, then go here, 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 and here, and then here. That's where the lip is actually going to be constructed. So what I need is I need to make 3 copies of everything. So let me select everything that I've made so far and duplicate it, and then I'll just move it 200 units to the right so that it's out of the way, but I can bring it back later when I need it. So, and the second time I select everything, I duplicate and I move everything exactly 200 units to the left. So now I have 3 copies of everything that we've made so far. Now we're going to start with the middle copy. In the middle copy will be the actual egg, only the shell, which I will cut into 2 pieces later. So I don't actually need B, C, E, F, or G in this middle copy, and I'm going to delete them. And then I will simply construct the shell by subtracting D from A. So actually, I don't want the letter A to be here in the end, so I'm going to ungroup this and I'm going to delete the letter A. And then I will just select the outer egg and I'll select D and I will group them. So this egg is now hollow inside, although of course we can't see it right now because, well, we still haven't actually cut it open. Okay, so that was the easy part. Now I have to construct 2 stencils for making the actual cuts and also the lip that's going to go on these cuts. So let me start with the right stencil, which is going to be the lower stencil. So for the lower stencil, I will only actually need the pieces F, B, and E. So everything else can be deleted. I don't need A or C or D or G. So I will delete these. I'll only need F, E, and B. And then what we'll do is we'll take B, we'll make it solid. So that's just one of the in-between eggs selected here. Now I only want the bottom half of this egg. So I'm going to select E, which is a hole, and then I will merge the two. So what we can see right now is I've basically cut off the upper half of this egg, but it's sticking out just a little bit from where my lower wedge is here. And then I'm going to take the lower wedge F, make that also solid, and then I will just group these 2 shapes together. And maybe for color, I'm just going to select gray. So now we have basically the stencil is basically a lower wedge, just with this additional piece of almost like a cylinder attached to it. And now let's go work on the upper one. So there's a similar process that I'm going to follow here. For this upper stencil, I will only actually need the shapes C, F, E, and G. So A, B, and D can be deleted. I will not need them. And this time I'm going to start with the box G. So I will make this solid, and then I will remove certain pieces from it. First of all, I'm going to remove F from the box. So I group, and now I only have kind of the upper half of the box. And then I also want there to be a hole in it of the shape of C. So I will shift select C and group again. So now we'll be able to see that there's now an egg-shaped hole in this red shape here. Especially if I hide E, then we can see there's an egg-shaped hole in the red. Okay, so but let me unhide that. And finally, I just want to also take the union of these pieces. So I'm gonna select them both, E and G. I'll make them both solid, and I will group them. And maybe I'll also change the color to gray again. So this is my upper stencil. It's basically flat with a bit of a circular hole in it. So now let me take both of these stencils and change them to transparent. And then I will take both of these stencils and actually move them back to where they were. So I have to move this one by exactly 200 millimeters. And I have to move this one also exactly by 200 millimeters. And now everything is back in place. I've got my egg in the middle and I've got the 2 stencils. Everything is lined up perfectly, and I still have some letters here as well. So I don't really need those so much anymore. Okay, and now we'll cut the egg in exactly the same way that we did in the first layer. So I will select the inner egg and I will duplicate the inner egg, and then I will also select the upper stencil. I'll group them, and that's going to remove the upper half of one of the inner egg copies. Then I'll select the other inner egg copy and the lower stencil, and I'll group them. Okay, so now we have the upper egg half and the lower egg half, and it's been cut in 2. And actually I can move them apart now, and when you look inside, you can see that there is actually a lip. Let me command Z, so I move them back together. Let me make everything transparent and switch to front view, and then when you zoom in on it, we can also see exactly what the shape of this lip is. So the upper piece goes like this, and this, and this, and this, and the lower piece goes like this, 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 and this. So the 2 middle eggs that I had, they were only for cutting out the shape, these 2 pieces of the shape of the lip. And the reason I left a little bit of space here between them is just to make sure that after printing, the two pieces will actually fit together, because there could be a bit of extra material. If you made them exactly the same, then it's possible that your egg will not actually close. So with this, let's change everything back to solid. With this, we are finished with the third layer of our egg.